Howdy Folks, Jamboree here. Now, a lot of people have told me that the latest Ghostbusters movie, Afterlife, actually has a lot of puppetry in it. So, let's talk about this film. Callie's a single mother raising two children, Phoebe and Trevor. After her home gets an eviction notice, she decides to move to Summerville, Oklahoma, into a farmhouse that used to belong to her deceased father, Egon Spengler, who left his family and friends years ago. Callie begins dating Phoebe's summer school teacher Gary Gruberson, and Trevor gets a diner job so that he can work alongside his new crush Lucky. Meanwhile, Phoebe finds out that Egon's ghost is haunting the farmhouse. Egon helps his granddaughter realize that he was once a respected scientist and Ghostbuster. It also turns out that Dr. Spengler left everyone behind to stop an impending supernatural threat, but he never forgot about Callie. So Phoebe and her new friend Podcast start using Egon's gadgets to bust ghosts, but are unfortunately arrested by the police. Phoebe, Podcast, Trevor and Lucky then investigate a local Summerville mystery, only to realize that the legendary evil demon Gozer is prophesied to return this year, which means that these kids have to become the new Ghostbusters, all while Callie and Gary are possessed by the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper. I remember when this film first came out, a lot of people were saying that it was very fan-servicey. After watching it, I can't really deny that. Because yes, a lot of the film does feel like a soft remake of the first movie. Saying that though, the nostalgia isn't some kind of novelty or gimmick to sell the film, but rather an opportunity to write an affectionate love letter to an 80s movie classic. You can really tell that everyone involved with this movie has a passion for Ghostbusters. I also wouldn't say that the movie depends on the audience having seen the original movies, because as much as it tries to replicate the OG films, it stands on its own 2 feet and wants to focus on brand new characters. What I love about these said characters is that they all feel very real. While the original films cater to the comedy personas of the actors who played each Ghostbuster, Afterlife gives us more human and realistic characters, which makes sense when the film is leaning more towards being a drama than a full-on comedy. To begin with, we have Phoebe, an intelligent and gifted kid with a love for science.
Phoebe! What are you doing?
Neighbor's electricity is running out of phase, so I tied in and bumped us up to 220. Now I can run my lathe.
And you didn't think to ask me?
I mean, you just demonstrate zero aptitude for science.
Got it.
You're better at other things, like quesadillas.
The most notable thing about her is how she's strongly autistic coded. She has a special field of interest, faces social skill struggles, and finds it difficult to express herself conventionally.
I think Gruberson's trying to bone your mom.
Oh.
That doesn't bother you.
No, of course it bothers me. I just don't exhibit emotions the same way everyone else does.
Most Hollywood movies depict us autistics as quirky stereotypes who exist to inspire neurotypical audiences. But Phoebe, whether intentionally or not, is a very accurate and sensitive portrayal of a neurodivergent kid. It's what makes her feel so real, as well as relatable for autistic viewers. What's extra awesome is that she's not just our lead character, she's a Ghostbuster. She proves that neurodivergent children can become world-saving heroes in their own right. Heck, her autistic personality traits are what make her a great Ghostbuster, because she uses her neurodivergent skills to investigate the Gozer mystery and quickly adapt to using her granddad's gadgets.
Safety's off.
She's maybe the best representation for autistic kids I've ever seen. Oh, and her emotional connection to her granddad is the heart of the film. This is a girl who has felt alone and outcast in this harsh world, so when she discovers that she's the descendant of an amazing scientist slash Ghostbuster, she finds a kindred spirit in him. When Phoebe learns that her family kept Egon's legacy from her, I actually took her feelings of disappointment very personally. Growing up, I always found it difficult to connect with others, because my hobby of filmmaking was such a niche interest. Then, one day, I discovered that I had a talented filmmaker for an uncle, but he was the black sheep of the family. I didn't know about him until after he died, and I felt let down that I never got to know someone related to me who shared my passion. A man who could have been my mentor and role model if I'd met him. This is what makes this scene hit home for me so much.
He was special. He loved science like me. Why didn't you tell me my grandfather was Egon Spengler?
Trevor is how I think more teenage characters should be written. He's clearly going through hormones and all the complicated emotions behind them, so he can be whiny and angry a lot, but at the same time he has this charming awkwardness to him.
How old are you?
17. Do you think you can put in a good word for me?
I can tell them you have a pulse.
My name's Trevor.
My name's Trevor.
That was great.
Dude, that was really cute.
Yeah.
You have a chance with her. You really do.
I also really liked his bond with Phoebe. They're not super close, but they also don't hate each other. They just keep to themselves, but look out for one another when needed. It's exactly what happens to sibling relationships when they get older.
Hey, Phoebes. At school today, don't be afraid to just start a conversation.
Are you kidding me? That's horrible advice. You're literally setting her up for failure. Hey, how are the jokes coming along?
Why should you never trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
That's funny.
No, it's not. Okay, you can drop me off here.
There's also Podcast, who I'd best describe as the happiest nerd in the world. This adorable little weirdo is obsessed with the paranormal and passionately runs his own podcast despite only having one subscriber. But he has the attitude and mindset of a winner. The bond he develops with Phoebe is super cute, not just because Podcast is Phoebe's first ever friend, but he also sees Phoebe's quirks and interests as cool, rather than something to be ashamed of. It's a great friendship that makes you glad that they met.
Hey, and look, this is totally cool. This is a no, zero pressure. But, do you want to be my lab partner?
Well, I don't think we're gonna be doing any labs, but yeah. Yeah, sure, I'd love to.
Cool.
Lucky is the average Somerville teenager, a girl who is stuck in a dead town with an authoritative cop for a dad. She copes with this with a distinct sense of dry humor though.
Hey! Hi, what brings you here?
Actually, you could really help me with hiding
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Do you have any priors? 'Cause
No.
They'll charge you as a minor. You'll get 2 years, max. I'll visit you, okay?
Lucky. Quit messing with my inmates.
When we first meet her, we think she's just going to be Trevor's one-dimensional love interest, but the movie actually fleshes her out into this funny, sarcastic dean.
You should borrow my hoodie.
No, it's fine. Seriously, it's fine.
It's really masculine. It's got a wolf on it, trust me.
Okay. I'm actually kind of surprised it fits me.
Yeah, it's my boyfriend's, actually.
Oh.
Back to inventory.
She's the local normie who gets dragged into the Ghostbusters shenanigans, but adapts to the madness quickly. Together, these four are the new Ghostbusters, a fresh generation of supernatural fighting heroes to take over the originals. Yes, you could compare each one to one of the OG members, but I wouldn't say that they're exact clones. Sure, we don't see them band together formally until the finale, but the movie does a fantastic job setting up their dynamics throughout, developing what they can bring to the table as they clumsily form their own team of child Ghostbusters. So when they do finally go into battle, everyone fits naturally into their jobs.
Hey! The most remarkable thing about the new adult characters in this film is that they're all very flawed grown-ups. They're not generic squeaky clean role models. They're complicated adults who fumble and flail as they try to get on in life. There's this roughness and honesty to them that you don't often see from grown-up characters in family films. Despite their lack of grace or maturity though, they do want to help and support the kids. They're just dealing with their own insecurities or problems at the exact same time. For example, we have Callie. Many have been divided over whether she's a good or bad mum, but sometimes things aren't that black and white. I'd say that she's a caring, decent mother who's doing her best. Is she perfect? Hell no. But it's her flaws and weaknesses as a parent that make her interesting. Most family films portray mums as either plain suburban parents who do everything right, or the strict disciplinary abuser who shouldn't be a mother. We very, very rarely get to see a middle ground. Callie shows that not all mums are wonder parents, but they do what they can, because, well, parenting is hard. Callie is raising a neurodivergent child and a moody teenager all on her own, while also facing abandonment issues after Egon left her family, so it's pretty unfair and unrealistic to expect her to be a master-skilled parent.
Hey, I'm glad you found yourself here. I really am. But all I see are reminders that I didn't mean a thing to him.
Gary Gruberson is yet another example of how Afterlife depicts its adults. He's an enthusiastic scientist who adores seismology, but he's not exactly a responsible adult around kids. He doesn't care about teaching summer school, and tends to do experiments without safety measures in the name of punk. But when he meets Phoebe, he finds a new passion for passing on his knowledge and sharing science with a new generation.
Glasses.
2 millimeters of plastic eye protection. Are you sure this is safe?
Safe? No. No. History is safe. Geometry, that's safe. Science is all particle accelerators and hydrogen bombs. Science is giving yourself the plague and gambling on the cure.
He sees talent in this young girl and ends up being Phoebe's new father figure, which is cute when you remember that he's dating her mum, so he could end up becoming her cool new stepdad. Right, that's our new cast of characters, but what about the original ensemble? How do they play into the movie, and are they used well? Well, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Annie Potts are used very sparingly, which I would actually say is a good thing. The original cast is getting on. Asking them to be action stars again in their 70s would be silly. Janine, the Ghostbusters' former secretary, has been caring for Egon all these years. Despite her feelings for Egon not being mutual, she's committed a whole life to looking out for him, wanting nothing in return. To me, that's pure unconditional love.
I'm Janine Melnitz. We spoke on the phone. I was your father's, we were friends. Very sorry for your loss.
It's okay, you've known better than me. I should be sorry for your loss.
Oh, I just tried to keep the bills paid on time, that kind of thing.
Like a money manager?
Oh, there was no money to manage.
As for the original Ghostbusters, I really like how their lives have just carried on as normal. Sometimes the unexpected happens and we just have to adapt to those changes. Some Ghostbusters have found riches, others are living a humble, quiet life. When all three finally turn up at the scene, they get to show off their ghost-busting skills while displaying their usual chemistry.
I don't remember this job being so painful.
I do.
You got a lot of nerve. Coming back here, crawling back to me.
But they don't steal the kids' thunder. Heck, both generations have to work together to defeat Gozer. No one is made to look incompetent or out of touch. It's a team effort. My favourite aspect of the OG Ghostbusters coming back though, is seeing them meeting the next generation. I especially loved watching paranormal expert Ray bonding with Podcast. It's adorable and totally in character for the wholesome Ray.
You gotta be my podcast.
Sure, what's it called?
Mystical Tales of the Unknown Universe.
MTW, that's you?
Wait, you're my subscriber?
Really found its voice in the 46th episode.
You might have noticed that I've not mentioned Egon yet. Well, his contribution is different, it's special. For most of the movie we can't see him, because he's a transparent ghost, but the movie cleverly implies that he's present, by letting him creatively communicate through objects around the house. Then, when all the Ghostbusters are trying to take down Gozer, we get the emotional reveal of Egon's visible spectre, as he guides his granddaughter in using her proton gun, and reunites with the OG crew for the first time in years. It's a beautiful finale that shows a true understanding of Egon's character. Dr. Spengler wasn't some emotionless robot. He was a hero scientist who wanted to protect the world from powerful supernatural evil, plus a best friend to the other Ghostbusters, and a potential lover to Janine. He was human. He had emotions. To achieve Egon's ghost effects, the visual effects team took footage of Harold as Egon, converted set material into a hyper-realistic CGI model, and hired actor Bob Gunton to mocap as Egon's ghost. It's an amazing and believable special effect. What I like the most though, is that Egon's ghost never speaks. They could have easily given him a voice, but instead he communicates with looks and gestures. It's very subtle and totally in character for Egon. It gets extra emotional when we see Egon's ghost saying hello and goodbye to his family, with Callie's forgiveness giving him a chance to finally leave Earth's realm. The whole climax is this tasteful and respectful tribute to both Egon Spengler and the actor who played him, Harold Ramis, who sadly passed away before this film was made. Heck, Ramis was a visionary filmmaker himself, and I think he would have loved the technology being used to bring his character back. Now, what's a Ghostbuster movie without its ghosts? The most memorable new ghost is Muncher. I freaking love this little menace. He has this unique caterpillar design and a diet of eating metal, which he can regurgitate into firing bullets. He's not just the first ghost that the kids try to catch, he also ends up helping our heroes get back their ghost-busting equipment from jail.
Wait!
Muncher was created through CGI, but most of the other ghosts are a different story. There's lots of ghouls that bring back the 80s movie's classic puppetry. The armchair demons that attack Egon at the start, well, they're just a bunch of puppeteers wearing gloves. There's also a minor ghost who hangs out at a cafe, and he's one sinister looking animatronic.
Each of the joints was the real limit of the actual hand joint, so it didn't move when it shouldn't. So each finger correlates to the finger movement. And since you use your own hand strength, you can grasp things a lot stronger than you could with a radio control. To grip something like the cup here, basically you just pull all the fingers and the wrist movement down so that he's grasping, and then if you let go, whoop, he drops it.
Oh, and the character of Ivo Shandor, leader of the Gozer cult, was played by actor J.K. Simmons. But Ivo was mainly done through practical effects. For most of the movie, Ivo is played by a dummy puppet, which could be electronically resurrected on cue for a fun jump scare. Then, when Gozer tears him in half,
that was mainly done through practical effects? No, really.
But the most impressive puppetry comes from the Terror Dogs. The practical effects team took the old puppets for these monsters in the first film and updated them with today's capabilities. So they have the charms and details of the 1984's film's puppets, but they're also way more flexible and expressive now, with the CGI only taking over when the puppets face any kind of physical limitations. To conclude, Ghostbusters Afterlife excellently serves as both a love letter to the 80s movies and the origin story for a new 2020s team. It definitely feels like the beginning of something bigger yet to come, but still works as a small-town Goonies-esque adventure.
It actually reminds me of a live-action Monster House more than anything, which is unsurprising when Gale Keenan himself co-wrote the movie. So, what did you think of Ghostbusters Afterlife? Let everyone know in the comments below, and don't forget to click that like button. I've been Jamboree, feel free to subscribe and share. Cheerio, folks.
Join Ashanti, Queen Latifah, David Alan Grier, and Quentin Tarantino.
You digging it?
In a timeless tale.
Take me to meet your wizard.
That will take you down a whole new road.
You're all backwards. I can see my rear end. I must be working out, huh?
Your wizard is gonna grant some wishes.
You really want to grant my wish, wizard? Send me home.
The Muppets Wizard of Oz.